Joining us now is Ohkee Lee. You are the leader of the NGSS Diversity and Equity team, and your focus is on science education for a diverse group of students. What do you mean when you talk about NGSS, all standards, all students?
So the NGSS are intended to prepare all students for college and careers by the end of high school. And this focus on workforce in the next generation is critically important for all students, especially when you consider changing demographics. So the student populations are rapidly changing, and the teachers see the steady increase of diversity in the classroom. So let me give a couple of examples. That as of 2013, the student population who received free or reduced price lunch was 51%. So the education system is subsidizing more than the majority of students for free and reduced price lunch. And then it's projected that this fall, the traditional racial and ethnic minority will make up 50%. And after that, there is no coming back. And then in the student population, 12% of the students receive special education services, and 1 out of 5 students speak a language other than English at home, and about 10% receive English as a second language or English for speakers of other languages in school, which is about 4.5%. So what I mean by that is that teaching science for diversity is teaching science for all. And the NGSS have addressed diversity issues as an integral part from its inception, and hence the title, All Standards, All Students.
What are some of the challenges and opportunities for engaging those students in science and engineering practices so that they can learn both science and the English language?
Okay, so the NGSS blend the 3 dimensions: disciplinary core ideas, science and engineering practices, and cross-cutting concepts. Now, among the 3 dimensions, science and engineering practices are both academically rigorous and language intensive. So what I mean by academically rigorous is that traditionally when people thought of constructing a model, you can imagine volcano eruption as a science fair project. Now the NGSS make it very clear that volcano eruption is a replica, but it's not a model. When we say a model is a scientific model where every part of a drawing, for example, of the direction of an arrow or the thickness or thinness is all explaining something. So it's a much more rigorous, but also at the same time, when you engage in science and engineering practices, you develop a model, you construct an explanation, you engage in argument from evidence, and when you engage, when I explain to you something, what do? I use some form of a communication and language. So it's a language intensive because the kids are actually doing and engaging in practices. That means the NGSS present both the demands from the students to engage in practices and use language, but also it provide opportunities for students to learn language while also they learn science.
Considering those statistics that you mentioned earlier, you truly have your work cut out for you. Ohkee Lee, thank you so much for joining us here today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.